I've accomplished these and got them down to a system so that I know how to wear different hats. I know how to change hats.
Beautiful.
And when I walk into the octagon, that morning that I wake up in my hotel room, usually what involves is...
Welcome to the Mindset by Design podcast with your host, the expert Andy Murphy, where you will learn the tips, tricks, and strategies he teaches his world-class clients to give you the skills to dominate any business.
What's going on, Mindset by Design crew, and welcome to episode 292. Yes, it's a good one today. We have another one from the vault, the best of Mindset by Design, the best of MBD. And today, we've got a living hero of mine from episode 100, right? All the way back to 100. We're 200 episodes ahead of that nearly now. And this was a gentleman called Bruce Buffer, right? Bruce Buffer, one of the poster faces of the UFC, the Ultimate Fighting Championship. Huge fan since I've been a little kid, since I was 14, trained in martial arts all my life. But I'm not going to rant on about that because I'm going to, actually it was cool to go back through the original episode and listen to myself. It was quite interesting. So I'm going to play some of that where I really give my introduction and explain who Bruce Buffer is. Because I was so passionate. and so excited. And it's awesome to hear. So I'm going to leave that in there. And then the episode is really, really cool. As I say, you can tell by the title. We get into, it was actually before the Conor McGregor Aldo fight, the first one. And this is where Conor became the superstar that he is now. It really was that defining moment. And what's even crazier, and I didn't even think about this when I put the episode out, Conor fights in 3 days again. It's kind of a Wednesday. I think I recorded this with Bruce on a Wednesday because then he was flying out. And so that's a synchronicity in itself, right? So Conor fights this weekend, so that's like X amount of years later. Unbelievable. Anyway, that was just a random thing that happened. So anyway, we get into loads of different conversations with Bruce. Obviously, we talk about Conor. It's not until the end. We talk about travel because he's on a constant crazy schedule. His mindset, his marketing, his money mindset. And what was interesting is he talks about ego, but he talks about two different egos and how to control them and use them. Well, hey, very interesting point Bruce brings up. So check out and make sure you're listening for that. And speaking of listening, well, before I jump into the episode, make sure that you're jumping into one of my 4 steps that you need to go through to be able to hit that next level in business. Remember, everything that gets taught out there is skill set. But once you have a skill set, guess what's then required? Yes, you have to have the mindset development. And remember, this is not about personal development, but you're going to develop your person. But what this is about is teaching you how to navigate, train, and optimize and use under the highest intense pressure of performance, your brain. Yes, no one teaches this stuff. And this is what I want to get over to you today because, again, it's all about the conscious and unconscious mind. It's all about the neuroscience, the NLP, and how to change your behavior at a deep unconscious nervous system level. That's what it's about. It's not no fluff and air. This is straight 18, 19 years of knowledge now, and I've put it all together in one place for you. Yes, for you. And 4 steps you need to hit that to the next level of business. Step 1. Everybody, and I mean everybody, should be going to FireMind.me. All of this is in the show notes, but I'm going to read them out. So FireMind.me, right? You need to get your mornings on fire. It has to happen. So your FireMind morning install audio, guess what? It's sitting there waiting for you. So make sure you're heading over to that. That's step 1. Step 2, if you're a little bit more advanced and you've got yourself primed in the morning, you're using the FireMind audio, then step 2 is you need to find out more about what the FireMind Experience is and what the FireMind formula is. Yes, the FireMind formula. It is what I've looked at and taken the best bits of 19 years, and as I say, I put them into one place, and that is the formula. And you in step 2 can go and discover what that really is and how you can join us and make this year your best year ever. That's the goal, right? That's what we're on a mission for. Step 3 is something that you really might love. You really do. It's called the circuit breaker technique, and I've developed a whole training there, on-demand training that you can go and watch right now. It's 45 minutes long, full explanation of it, and you even get a little clip of what it's going to be like inside. So go and check that out. That's step 3. Go and get the circuit breaker technique. And that is, for all you listeners who can't see the show notes, that is in firemind.me/FireMind hyphen, you know that little line, hyphen master training. So FireMind hyphen master training. That's it. So you can go and watch that now, right now. I think you'll absolutely love it. Right? Absolutely love it. So step 4 is, I'm assuming, but sometimes that's wrong, right? I'm assuming you're already inside the FireMind Facebook. If not, well, just type my name, Andy Murphy Mindset. It will come up. You can also type in FireMind, and I'm sure it will pop up. You can also type in Mindset by Design, and I'm sure it will pop up. There's over $3,000 in there, all hanging out for free each day. Motivation, training, and awesome connections. I'm going to be putting a lot of info in there, so I would advise you head over today. So, speaking of today, you can go see those show notes, and then guess what? Let's jump in and go and meet Mr. Bruce Buffer. So I will see you at the end of the show. Enjoy this. I absolutely love it, and you're probably going to want to listen to it again. Shall I actually tell you about the guest? Because, look, I haven't done it in a while. I'm excited to talk to you. But I don't know if you know the UFC. You probably have. It's on Fox. It's one of the biggest growing sports, if not the biggest growing sport in the world right now. Well, the guy in the middle who goes, "It's time!" That's Bruce Buffer. Now, you've got to remember, I've been involved in martial arts since I've been 9 years old. I've watched the UFC since I was 14 years old. And I've watched Bruce for not much longer, not longer than that. So this guy is a bit of a hero of mine, you know? So to get him as a guest on the podcast, yeah, that took a huge bucket list for me. And I got on well with Bruce. It's a real cool interview. And we're coming up to, for UFC fans out there, don't know if you are, but we're pointing with this. The thing you got to understand about Bruce is he's a ridiculous entrepreneur. He's a brilliant entrepreneur. And he's also, do you know the boxing commentator, Michael Buffer, who goes, what does he say? "Let's get ready to rumble." Yeah, that's my impressions. I get they suck. But actually, he's his brother, and there's a crazy story behind it. I'm not sure if we go into it in the interview. Actually, we don't go into the interview. But they didn't know they were even brothers. Only in like maybe 15 or so years ago, or 10 years ago. And it was only a coincidence that they found out they were brothers, but they were also doing the same job. That's some crazy universal synchronistic craziness quantum world, right? That's some trippy stuff. But they are. And Bruce, we spoke about everything. We spoke about mindset and business. We spoke about his journey. We spoke about the travel and how to get yourself really back to staying on point all the time. We spoke about the Conor McGregor fight. He was about to fight Aldo. It's an awesome interview, and I wanted to hold it back because it's such a hero of mine until the 100th episode. So I know you guys have been waiting for this for a long time. I get it. So happy 100th episode, everybody. Okay, Mindset by Design crew. So you've had my awesome intro, so you know how excited I am about today's guest. And we caught him on probably the busiest week of the UFC year, so it's really appreciated. How are you, Bruce, sir?
Oh, I'm doing great, Andy. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
No, it's very, very cool. So you're bouncing around LA still?
Yeah, I was, where was I last week? It's like, if it's Tuesday, this must be Belgium sometimes. I've been to Miami, and then last 7 weeks, Krakow, Poland, Montreal, Manila, Brazil, Vegas, and now back to Vegas because this is the big week for the UFC. We got the UFC Fan Expo. We got UFC 189, of course, with the Irish Warrior, Conor McGregor, coming over. And God knows how many other people from Ireland coming over to support him. And we got the Ultimate Fighter finale on Sunday, so back-to-back UFC shows, and I'm on a plane over to Scotland for the UFC there.
Half of that's my blood. My family's Irish and Scottish, so that's I'm originally from Liverpool in the UK.
So there's a lot of fights in that family.
Oh, lots, my friend, lots.
Yeah.
But what's brilliant about that? That's probably a good place to start, Bruce. Is just how the hell do you keep that mindset? How do you keep that state going and that energy? I mean, you must have real clean, tried and tested routines to be able to.
Well, I do. I'm sorry to step on you there. I do, in respect to the fact that, I've been an athlete my whole life. I've been a martial arts since I was 12. I've been a surfer since I was 15.
Right.
I'm very, very, very competitive. And at my age now, your competition is limited to what you can do as far as, do I want to spar and fight? Well, I've done a ton of that.
For sure.
So now I love to train, but unless I got to go throw down for real on the street, I don't do that anymore. And certainly not, looking forward to that, but got to do what you got to do.
You do.
And as far as like training, then I train, circuit training, yoga, swimming, various different forms just to stay in shape. Because quite frankly, I have to train just to travel and to stay healthy, and I eat well. Eating nutrition to keep a proper mindset, and when I do my motivational speeches, teaching branding and marketing, one of the key things that I do is tell people no matter what you do, no matter how much money you make, no matter how much success you have, how much fun you have, how much you love your job, hopefully, or much less hate your job, hope not, unless you're physically well.
Yeah.
Which involves what you put in your body. Your body's your temple. You could drive the finest Range Rover, the finest Jaguar in the world, but if you don't put the proper gas and oil in that car, it's going to screw up on you.
Oh, for sure, right? And that is one of the biggest things. And you play, besides doing the UFC, what people don't understand, well, a lot of people don't understand, you're also an crazy successful entrepreneur. You're a high-end poker player. I mean, are these just, how do you stay into those roles? How do you set yourself up from being the man in the octagon to suddenly then being a poker player to suddenly then doing everything else that you do? How do you change that state?
Well, I always teach people that if you're going to go after a goal and you're going to do something, you need to focus. And if you try to do two things, much less more than two things, to be successful at the same time in a business endeavor, you're basically going to do them half-assed. But
right.
I've accomplished these and got them down to a system so that I know how to wear different hats. I know how to change hats.
Beautiful.
And when I walk into the octagon, that morning that I wake up in my hotel room, usually what involves is a good workout, a steam, hopefully if they have a spa,
nice,
a fine power breakfast, some meditation. I finish my cards and all the details because the card prep alone is 2 to 3 hours for every show.
Is that right?
Well, you got a couple hours almost at home preparing them. Then when you get there, you get the final stats. The weights. Is there any change in the weights? Is there any change in the heights? Did the bios need to be changed? Does the fighter not want to be called a mixed martial artist? Does he want to be called a kung fu fighter? Anything could happen like that. So I need to re-go over everything and make little changes here and there. Then I got to insert the referees, who was selected to be the ref of the fight, who were the judges for the main event, the commission, familiarize myself with the commission. So there's definitely a follow-up. Now, I'm not saying that it's rocket science. The trick is to make it look easy, but there is a formula that I follow. And then once I walk into the arena, I don't care what's going on. I've had, like all of us, situations in my life where family members that are not well,
right.
or maybe things going on in your personal life, or maybe I have a blown out knee, a blown out back, maybe I'm sick with the flu and my temperature's 103, maybe I just got off laryngitis or I have a cold or whatever. The bottom line is that nobody needs to know anything except me. I walk out there, I feel the energy of the crowd, as the American term is, the smell of the grease paint, the roar of the crowd. I feel the energy, and then I go into my octagon mode. I kind of kid and say I walk into a phone booth, I come out in the tuxedo, and I do my job.
and that's really it. You go to work.
Yeah, and you know what? The bottom line is, no matter how I feel, no matter what's going on in my life, there's always somebody that feels worse. There's always somebody that has more problems or more issues or more stress due to a lot of great things, which create stress, which is pretty much what my life is all about. But the bottom line is, I'm not fighting. Those warriors, men and women, are walking in to put their blood, sweat, and tears on the line on the octagon floor. My job is to honor them and enhance that moment for them and enhance it for the fans in attendance and watching on TV. So I'm there to do my job, my part. The show's not about me, but I'm there to do my part.
But yeah, exactly. Your role is important as not necessarily the fighters, but it's the whole crowd work. It's the whole creating that energy before that fight, and that's what changes the dynamic of the fight for sure, right?
I feel that's the case, and I'm not your typical announcer that I can just stand there, stand still, and read the cards. And my brother Michael Buffer, the iconic, legendary announcer, known for his famous "Let's Get Ready to Rumble" phrase. Yeah. I managed his career. I have for 21 years. Right. Last thing I wanted to be was Frank Sinatra Jr. I wanted to create my own style. And it takes years to do that. And I noticed some of these young, or young announcers, when I say young, just getting in, whether they're old or young or whatever. Yeah. With all respect to them, I want to tell a few of them, you know what? Go get your own style. Stop copying. Develop your own style, unique. You don't need to be like me. Don't need to copy Michael. If you want to be an individual, then create your own style. When I teach businesses that are starting out, I say pick 3 companies that do the same thing you do. In the case of a salesman, look at the 3 top salesmen. Find out what they do that makes them successful. Roll it into a little ball, create your own style with it. But learn from others. Again, everything's been done. It's not like you're going to recreate the wheel unless you're doing something scientific or making the new iPhone, But bottom line, all business is the same. It's just the product that's different. So create your individual product.
I love that. And it's funny in Hollywood, isn't it? The biggest marketing machine in the world. And the people that stand out are the people that are just themselves. They're totally unique. And everyone trying to be everybody else, they just fall into the herd,
Yeah, they do. I mean, I've heard announcers, like, even over the UK, go, like, instead of it's time, they'll insert, like, it's one guy inserted, like, it's go time. Well, I mean, where did you get that idea? Or guys will go, let's get ready to, well, where did you get that idea? It's like, funny. Create it. And also, I'm not phrase driven. It's not about being a trademark, having a trademark phrase to be successful as an announcer. Because in my opinion, it's not what I say, it's how I say it. That's the key. Couldn't
agree more. And words are just frequency to me, and you blast that frequency out, and it's a vibration. That frequency hits the crowd. It really does. It makes a difference. Do you find, because I know you've done martial arts all your life, and that's something we've got in common. I've trained since a little kid, and I did Shotokan karate. I was on the the England team when I was younger. And I always say, and Mindset by Design crew are used to this, but school didn't teach me too much. And martial arts gave me the foundation for everything I've done in business, everything I've done in my life, with that being able to push those boundaries, being able to read myself and other people, being able to listen to this self-talk, this internal dialogue. Do you base a lot from that?
Without a doubt, because the rules of fighting, the rules of life, even the rules of poker, all apply towards success formula. A success formula in a way that you need to know when to be offensive, when to be defensive. You need to read your opponent. Now, that opponent could be sitting across from you in a desk in an office area for a meeting or a conference table. That opponent could be standing across from you in a cage or a ring. That opponent could be sitting across from you at a poker table when you've got money on the line. And one thing that happens when you're at a poker table and you put all your chips and go all in, it's similar to fighting when you go in and knock that guy out. Well, when you go in with that attitude and you're going to go with that ferociousness, one of two things is going to happen. You're either going to knock him out or he's going to knock you out.
For sure.
So you want to understand that when you throw that left hand, how does he react? When you feint with your right, how does he react? So do I be offensive, defense? Do I react from him? Do I talk over him in a conversation at a business table? Or do I let him spill the beans and then go after him from the information he's given me? This is what life's all about. And you got to learn how to play life. Play the player, not the cards.
I love that. So, I mean, if we rewind the clock to your entrepreneurism, because you keep saying that you teach these seminars and stuff like that. Tell me more about that, mate.
Well, I love, first and foremost, before I do what we all know I do, as far as the announcer in the UFC octagon, which I'm quite humble and proud about. I kiss the ground every day I wake up, knowing that I'm the veteran voice of the octagon. I love that label. It'll be 20 years next February that I've been in that octagon. And this may be 15 shows, 20 shows at max.
Amazing. You should be real proud, you know?
I am. I take great pride in that, and that's all in just the last 2 years, because the one time before that happened, I had a show in New Jersey, and I hopped on a private jet down to Rio, and I did another UFC. I did 2 UFCs in less than 24 hours in 2 different hemispheres. I felt like a rock star. But I can't take the risk of risking the show, and when I can't make a show, obviously we need to have 1 or 2 of the other announcers that they've been able to hire to fit in when I can't be there. Otherwise, I would do every show. I would, believe me, I'm all about. I don't like sitting home on the weekends, seeing my beloved octagon occupied by the Warriors, and I'm not there to enhance their moment. So if I'm home, I want to be there.
Yeah, I bet for sure. I bet you do. So where did it come from? Yeah.
I'm sorry. Getting back to your question, Andy, is that I am a marketer first and foremost, just as witnessed by my 20-plus years managing my brother Michael Buffer, and properly trademarking those famous 5 words, and developing the toys and the games and the ventures and the movies and the TV shows and all the things that together as partners that we created. But that's been my work as the manager, putting all that together and building a brand. So the brand is always built by a nucleus. The nucleus for him was the boxing ring. The nucleus for me is the octagon. And from that point, I build out from that brand. I have a 3-foot theory. I want everybody around me, including my family and loved ones, I believe this, and my friends, unless you're some a-hole, then I'll make sure you know who you are. But the bottom line is that I want everybody around me to be happy. Right. If I'm going to be motivating you and I'm going to be speaking to you in a room, and you're going to share your life needs and your life's dreams and goals with me, then I'm not just there for the paycheck. Trust me, I'll always be the first one to the bank to cash the paycheck. But I am not about the paycheck. I am about my UFC shows being the best they can be. I am about, in a room, teaching branding and marketing in my 3-foot theory to make everybody around me happy, productive, and hopefully go on to earn income, because the more money they make, the happier they are. Karmically, that will all come back to me. And that's the way I lead my life. I base my life on a spiritual theory and a karmic reaction in the way I deal with people. And if you listen to my podcast, It's Time, which is on iTunes and SoundCloud, and you can check it out at brucebuffer.com. I had Jean-Claude Van Damme on a few weeks ago. We were talking about this. I have other movie stars and TV stars and sports stars, and of course UFC fighters. Recently, Donald Cerrone was on. Who did I have on this week? I had Conor McGregor on last week. Chael Sonnen this week. The bottom line is to benefit people from the success of others to help people become successful themselves. I don't believe in being selfish. And at the end of my podcast, I say, treat everybody the way you want to be treated, with respect. Right. Treat your sphere of influence, be a role model to your sphere of influence. There are very few role models today. You have Kardashians, big deal. Give me a break. You got Kanye West. Let me throw up in my trash can by my desk right now. Miley Cyrus. I mean, these are not. No. There's not even talent there. Maybe Miley has some talent, but it's like, and Kanye might have some talent, but he acts like an a-hole.
He does.
So these are not role models. The fighter's responsibility, it's not just to become a champion or to be a contender, but to be a role model for every little kid and adult out there that worships them or is interested in them, and to be the best they can be, because with greatness comes great responsibility.
For sure. And that's why I think the Octagon's missing a good old George St. Pierre, right? Because he fit that role so beautifully.
He fit it beautifully, but every time I step into the Octagon, the spirit of GSP, the spirit of Chuck Liddell, the spirit of Randy Couture, it's in that Octagon. It's watching every fighter in that Octagon, and that's how I look at it. That is a not a. How do I say this? It's it's a holy place.
Yeah,
you know?
I appreciate that. I mean, you can go into quantum physics, we can go to everything, but that energy's in there for sure, right?
Absolutely, without question. I reach out to, like say, okay, guys, the spirit of the great warriors, give me what I need now, as I'll need on Saturday night when Conor McGregor steps in there against Chad Mendes, and that audience in that arena is going out of their minds as well as people at home. Well, my job is to make that larger. It's like in Dublin, Ireland, you could put an amoeba in a bowl of jelly on the floor of the octagon, and they're still going to go crazy, right?
For sure.
But when I step out there, the next time I ever go to Dublin, I guarantee you I will take them another level higher, because that's my job.
That's so cool, man. That's so I got to ask, who do you think? What do you make of Conor right now? I've watched Conor for quite a few years, but what do you make of Conor right now? Is it just all about confidence? Is it all about his time? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, in essence, it is his time. He's like Jean-Claude Van Damme talked about him very much on my podcast. It's really cool what he said about him. This is his moment. This is his time. Oh, yeah, you listen to it. I have the video and everything up at brucehockey.com.
Beautiful.
It's absolutely fascinating. So this is his time. This is his moment. And his confidence is beyond the norm. His confidence is extreme, as well as it should be. His focus is extreme. He's out there doing major TV shows. He was with Chael Sonnen and I last week in Connecticut at ESPN. We're doing promos that are being filmed and shown all this week on ESPN. He's on Conan O'Brien, the TV show. He's over, doing the other shows he's done, which I can go into name a batch of them.
Right.
And he still has to train and focus on the biggest fight of his life. He's accepted his responsibility. He's nothing but confident to the point that he said he was going to knock out Jose Aldo 4 minutes into the first round. He walks the talk. He talks the talk, walks the walk.
He does.
But he's facing a much tougher opponent. For him, Jose Aldo is one of the pound greatest fighters in the world.
Absolutely.
But Conor's been training for a Muay Thai fighter. Now he's got a wrestler who can knock him out with both hands, who is going to go and grind him and get his face on his chest. It's going to be a different fight. So Conor has to adjust for this now. But when I was with Conor, he basically said, it doesn't matter. I'm here to fight. I will fight anybody they put in front of me. And when you're in Conor's presence, he means it. Yeah. I think Conor's a very cool dude. Was I happy when he reached and grabbed Jose Aldo's belt at the press conference? No, I thought that was a height of disrespect.
Absolutely.
Did it create a lot of fanfare and highlight video moments for the UFC to play for eternity? Yes, it did.
For sure. Yeah, exactly.
There's pluses and minuses, but the bottom line is I have a lot of respect for Conor. I can't wait to introduce him and Chad with all respect, because I'm an equal opportunity announcer. I'm all about may the best man win, and I'll do everything I can to make it happen.
I love that. And what I think I come over with Conor, maybe you can give me more insight, but there's a huge thing, like people say there's a fine line between confidence and arrogance. To me, it's totally the opposite end of the spectrum. Arrogance comes from lack of self-worth, insecurity, where confidence comes from like an innate knowing. And Conor seems to be very humble in this, because he's coming, like people might mistake it for pure arrogance, but to me it's not. It's like he just knows. What do you think about that?
True, I agree. There's two types of confidence. There's constructive ego, which I have personally, and I believe Conor has, where you do have to have a high feeling. You do need to love yourself before you can love anybody else.
For sure.
It's really that simple. If you're dating somebody and they don't like themselves, trust me, they're not going to make you happy. Right? So, and in business, if they're not happy with their work, they're not going to make me happy as an owner and a superior, overlooking their work.
Right.
Their constructive ego is about following your ego, being driven by your ego, but constructively so to succeed. Then there's conceited ego. Conceited ego, which stems from insecurity and stems from, false confidence hidden by what you say and how you project yourself. Conor is constructive ego. And one of the biggest things is, in order to win, you need to know what it's like to lose. If Conor suffers a loss on Saturday night against Chad Mendes, one of the key things looking into Conor McGregor, the man, is how he handles that loss.
Right.
My belief is, if that happened to happen to Conor, he will become stronger and more powerful as a result, and more of a force to be reckoned with as a contender for the championship belt, which he will fight for again.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I know you've got to go in a minute, Bruce. It's really appreciated your time and probably the busiest week you can possibly imagine. Where can people connect with you? Because I love, and I really want to connect with you with the business side because I love what you're speaking about. So where can we connect with you? Where can people find you besides the podcast? And I'll be putting this in all the show notes, my friend. So
I appreciate that, and thank you for your kind words. Sincerely appreciate it, my friend.
Of course.
You simply go to brucebuffer.com. There you can find the page where I do special recordings. I get a lot of requests for weddings, for birthdays, for answering machines, for cell phones. I even got 2 requests in the last week for a birth of a baby. Their babies are being born. I've done it before. Coming out now. It's like that, or walking down the aisle of love forever, presenting. For the weddings. But a real build-up. You can go to YouTube and see some of the weddings I've done.
That's so cool.
Just put Bruce Buffer weddings. I did Michael Bisbee's wedding.
Oh really? I used to train at the Wolf's Lair when it was around. So I've met Michael a few times.
It was. If I may say, it came out brilliant. A couple of gin and tonics, and I did a good job.
Nice work.
It is a wedding, but it was a private video that went viral and wound up on TMZ here and Sports Illustrated site and New York Times. Like, wow, okay, great. And suddenly I got a bunch of orders for weddings. So anyway, private recordings are there. I do business recordings, commercial recordings. Prices vary. They can just write the office through the contact page at brucebuffer.com. But all the other information is there. All the archive shows and my It's Time Lifestyles podcast.
Awesome.
And then on Twitter, please follow me at Bruce Buffer. And I have a lot of fun with Instagram, which is at Bruce Buffer UFC. And if you email me through the website, it might take me a little bit, but my office will answer all requests for recordings and appearances, and then maybe I'll follow up after. But I do answer all the email, barring any very rare, some disrespectful email. Don't be disrespectful when you write me. Be very respectful.
Sure, for sure. Thank you so much, Bruce. Really, really appreciate it. Good luck with the UFC and all the things that you've got done. You're about to do, and just keep doing what you do, mate. Because you're an absolute star, and you make that show, and you really do make that show. So keep doing what you're doing. It's really, really my pleasure to meet you.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. As long as my mom's happy, now that you're happy, Andy, I'm happy. So we're all good. And as long as Dana, of course, if Dana and the Fertitta brothers are happy, then I'm happy too.
That's a good thing too, buddy. Yeah.
Cheers to all your listeners. Thank you for what you do, Andy, because you got to remember you're doing a lot for people too. You have a show here that I'm witnessing that's all about positive energy and being the best you can be, and for that I commend you.
Thank you, sir. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you, buddy.
All right. Cheers, Andy. Take care.
See you, buddy. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
So, Mindset by Design crew. Do you love Bruce? I was going to call him Bruce there. Do you love Bruce? Gotta love Bruce, right? Did I seem like a little screaming fan? I hope not, because I was. Bruce is an amazing guy, absolutely, obviously world-class, exceptional, brilliant in every area of his life, and really does have an incredible balance in his life, and his wisdom that came over, I think, definitely in that show. He's very humble, very grounded, so now every time you watch the UFC, you can go, oh, Andy interviewed him. Even if you weren't a fan, I hope you watched the UFC just for that, just to see Bruce on there. Okay, crew, there we go. The end of episode 292. Love Bruce? Gotta love Bruce, right? What an epic guy, and I hope you're checking everything out, and yeah, just being around Bruce. I love listening to that episode again. It made me so happy. Speaking of happy, make sure that you are making yourself happy and making sure that this year is your best. Head over to FireMind.me right now and grab your audios and make sure you're setting your unconscious mind up for the absolute top performance every single morning. So go over there now. The second step that you need to be doing is you need to be going and discovering what the circuit breaker NLP neuroscience technique is. This is how we build you into the powerful, driven, genius version of you so you can outthink the competition. That right there is waiting for you at FireMind /FireMind-Master Training. Yes, FireMind-Master Training. And the other two steps that you've got to be in them, is you've got to find out what exactly the FireMind Experience is, because this is what's going to make your year the best it ever has. And you've got to discover what the formula is. You just have to. So go over right now to firemind.me/apply-for-FireMind. That's it. Apply for FireMind. Apply-for-FireMind. This is if you can't get to the show notes. And the other one, make sure that you're heading over to the Facebook group and hanging out with us all in there. I'm getting more and more excited about being in there, and I want you to be in there too. So just type Andy Murphy Mindset and I will pop up and I will invite you and let you in. But until then, much love. Go back over this episode. Make sure you're connected with me on all of those links. They're going to make this year your best year ever. I'm pumped about it and I want to connect with you now. So let's do this. Until I speak to you soon, much love. And why don't you smile for me?
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode of the Mindset by Design podcast with your host and NLP expert, Andy Murphy. We'll catch you next time.